Hi Ottawa and welcome to Operation Support Local. I'm your host Derek Fage. The idea behind this show is to highlight some of the incredible individuals and organizations that have gone above and beyond to help the most vulnerable during the pandemic. We're also going to tell you about some of those local businesses who are just starting to get back on their feet. They're implementing new protocols to help keep us safe. Our first story is of Joe Tuttengal. Of course, Joe, the owner of the Coconut Lagoon, you've probably heard the story where he's had to close his business due to a fire. That happened back in May, but Joe has continued to give back to the community along with professional chefs from across the city and a team of volunteers. They have served over 60,000 hot meals in just a 4-month period. Enjoy.
Joe, it is great to see you here today, but we're in front of kind of a different place. We don't normally find you on Canatic Road. Can you tell us a little bit about why you're here, the background behind it, and how COVID has caused you to be here today?
Yeah, during the COVID, we stuck up with a lot of food, and, back in March, we started giving out some food, whatever left over in the kitchen. Then became the idea of serving people who really needed the food. So we partnered up with Food for Thought Cafe and with Sylvain and other group of volunteers. We started serving the hot meals every day from the Thali restaurant kitchen because it was closed middle of March. So what we did is we served almost 500 to 1,000 meals every day. When we started the second phase in reopening, the Thali started opening. So we moved to this kitchen, which is a communal kitchen, and we rent the space and we come here as a group of volunteers, and they come here every day with their time and passion. We cook the good hot meal and serve it in 2 hours to the people in need. That is why we are here.
We work in association with many community health and resource centers, and so some of them come here and take 200 meals or whatever, and we pack them all for different buildings. They go to different high rises or stuff where they've identified clients. We target people who are food insecure, but in particularly can't cook, and we provide them meals. So that's the solution, right? They can't cook, we provide them a meal, and they'll get good nutrition that day. Kind of volunteering that we have is highly qualified and highly dedicated people. Our chief executive officer is right there right now, probably peeling onions or something. But she has all the qualifications needed to do that kind of stuff, and she, out of the goodness of her heart, manages all of our volunteers and so on. And
we have Chef Jishnu is volunteering for a long time. We have Phil Cameron. He is a chef at the Embassy of Germany. We have Chef Kent, who is the teacher at the Carleton School Board. We had Tim Stock from Time and Again. There is a lot of people come and go, but we are in good hands. There's a lot of chefs come and go. Adam from Northern Navy comes and helps us. Patrick Garland from Upstain Restaurant, he comes and helps us. So all these people make a good team, and we work together.
We have high-power volunteers that are passionate enough to give of themselves, and that makes a complete difference for us.
Unfortunately, during COVID, you got hit twice, not just by the pandemic, but your other beautiful restaurant, Coconut Lagoon, was hit by a fire. Can you kind of explain what happened and where things are right now, when people can look forward to getting back there?
It was very unfortunate. We were so blessed because whatever the work we do in the morning and evening, we come and cook it from Coconut Lagoon, and we used to serve. I used to deliver personally meals to the people, and we were going, such a beautiful thing was going. And this Friday comes, one Friday, May 22nd, I still remember, I was at our home, and then I was driving around. This happened, and fire happened upstairs, and it went through fast because it was one of the windiest day and the dry day, 28 degrees, and it went and it destroyed the whole restaurant. So what we're looking at is reconstructing the restaurant in a better way. And what I gathered so far from the parties involved is it will take at least a year. So we will be out of commission for the next 1 year. But thank God I have a second location, which is in downtown. And with opening up the third phase, we will start serving the same menu in our restaurant in downtown, which is, I think, some people it's a blessing because they don't have to drive all the way to East End. But we are going to open and serve from Tadi. But I guarantee to the Ottawa, our friends and people around us, you know, the loyal customers, we will come back. Coconut Lagoon will come back for sure. You know, it's not affected only me or only a small group of people. It affected the whole world. So I am optimistic, and I am blessed to be standing right now, you know, so which is a good thing. And people had sufferings and all that, but there is a future. There is light end of the tunnel, and we will all come back. We'll fight it together, and it will come back. That's my thing.
Oh, I'm a chronic optimist, and I can't help it. I must say that the days when I'm here and I have like 15 volunteers in the kitchen, you know, packing and stuff, and they're having fun. They're liking what they do. And all these volunteers have glommed around us sort of in a natural, organic way. I mean, this gives me incredible optimism for the future of humanity, right? And if we were able to serve, we're around 60,000 meals now in 4 months, you know, just by people spontaneously coming together, I think there's a lot of hope for humanity. Now, there are going to be challenges, but there is hope.
Our next interview is with Tina Ferroni. She's the owner of Beyond Yoga. Tina had to shut down her yoga studio back in March, and although reluctant at first, she began to go online and do virtual classes to great success. However, she's excited to invite her clients back into her yoga studio. That's our next story.
This studio is just over 5 years old, built from the ground up. I don't know if people recall, this used to be a colonial furniture, and then it was Dufresne, so it was basically just 4 walls that we designed and built.
And of course, you know, you call yourself a yoga studio and wellness center, so tell me about the wellness side of the studio.
Wellness, well, we have osteopaths that work out of here, therapy, we have yoga therapy, we have Reiki treatments, and we have some of our teachers that do other components as well. We do a little more advanced, we do restorative, we do yin, we do Pilates. So there's a big wide spectrum. Yoga Nidra, which is more of a relaxing before bed yoga.
You mentioned wide spectrum. I imagine there's a wide spectrum of benefits to yoga as well. Tell me some of the great benefits of yoga.
Well, I'm sure you know that there's so many, and it's just proven more and more, especially during times like these. Mind, body, spirit, flexibility, capability, functioning, being in the moment, stress levels. I mean, it's just magic. You can go on and on and on about all the benefits of yoga.
You mentioned during these times, of course, you're talking about COVID-19 and the pandemic. Tell me how you've been impacted as a business by the pandemic.
Well, we basically had to shut down almost immediately. It was the weekend before March break. And as the weekend progressed, it just started to get worse and worse, hour by hour. We started having teachers calling with concerns, clients with concerns, and we knew that we weren't going to be able to keep up with it, and we didn't know what would happen. So in terms of compliance and safety, we just decided that Sunday night before March break just to shut it down. I had to lay off all my part-time staff. I did keep my 3 full-timers with me because we eventually progressed to doing online, and we still needed to keep up our social media aspect and the administrative part of keeping that together with our clients.
Tell me how you pivoted to online. I mean, for some people, they already had an online presence and they were doing some of that, virtual training and workshops and so forth. Was this completely new to you, or were you
Yeah,
prepared?
and I was very reluctant, very, very reluctant. First of all, I didn't know what kind of time frame we were looking at. So towards the end of March and all of April, I was like, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to do that. That's not our platform. And then I realized I needed to connect, and I needed the members to have that connection. So we set up an online Zoom, a monthly Zoom account, and we did that for May, June, and July.
Okay, and how has that been? How has that experience
Amazing. We've had amazing feedback. Everybody loves it, and we are planning to open August 1st. So we've implemented keeping that virtual component in with the studio as well, just so people can go at their own pace. If they're not quite sure, we just want them to feel comfortable.
What does a virtual class look like? Like, how many of the classes that you had been doing with your clients, how many of those?
It's a Zoom class.
Okay.
So amazingly enough, we can fit up to 60 people on a Zoom class. So we do one in the morning, and then we do one in the evening, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we do like an early afternoon one. They've loved it. They get to see everybody. So it's like if they want to do it in their pajamas, they just turn off the screen, or if they want to participate. And some members are like, hey, how are you? They're all like, And last week we started just on the patch of grass out there, Friday morning yoga outdoors. And that's really taking off as well for the members to just see each other and say hi, and yeah.
Once you open up August 1st, tell me what protocols you've put in place for your clients.
Well, there's a ton. Okay. There's an absolute ton. To go into a few things, I don't know if you can see, but we've had to take, this is usually a lounge area that we have. So we have tea, we have flavored water, the members come and they sit and this is their community, this is their home. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to do that. I'm not going to be able to provide that service. They do have to wear a mask upon entering. But however, when they are safely on their mat and their class starts, then they can remove it for the sake of the practice, which is amazing. I was really concerned about that. We do have change rooms, so we will obviously monitor that and wipe those down, and just keep the Purell stations, the plexiglass. The classes are going to be staggered. So there's only going to be 2 classes in the morning with staggered, so no people are going to be bumping into each other. It's going to be hopefully a smooth transition. There's only 10 per class, social distancing, so the numbers aren't high. Unfortunately, they have to bring their own props. We can't provide the props or the yoga mats, and bringing their own water bottles. The other thing I would say is they have to pre-register. There's not going to be allowed any walk-ins to just come in and go into the classes.
Just last question to, just to speak directly to your clients, what would you like to tell your clients?
I would just like to tell them we're so happy that you're coming back, and we'll take it slow, and if you have any questions or concerns, don't be shy. We'll make it work. We just got to be kind to each other and respect each other, and take it slow.
Julie Buin is a publicist. She's a marketing expert. She's worked with so many events and businesses here in our community, but that all shut down in March when the pandemic really hit home. What Julie did was she decided she wanted to give back to her community in some way, and that's how she started AboutFace Masks. The thing I like most about Julie's story is she gives back to some of the most vulnerable seniors in our community.
We are in beautiful Carp to speak to Julie, who started AboutFace Masks to meet community needs. She's making fashionable and durable masks with local seamstresses. She is a great example of how community members can come together to use creative solutions to solve problems. How are you doing? How are you coping with what's going on in the city, in the country, in the world?
Yeah, thank you for asking. You know, I was saying to a friend the other day that strong people never get asked how they're doing. And we have our down days and moments where we're crying in the shower just like everybody else. So thank you for asking. Having said that, I'm doing pretty good. I always view obstacles as opportunities. It's just how you're looking at it. And this was just another time where we had an opportunity to pause and maybe reflect and grow and figure out what our new priorities should be. And, you know, without sounding like a complete weirdo, it's also kind of an exciting time because we're actually living in history in a way that our parents and grandparents lived through the wars and the Great Depression. And we have a chance to shape how it goes. So I think that's kind of interesting, and it's a very powerful moment that we're living through. So I started AboutFace Masks 4 days into the pandemic shutdown, so early March. I had just been to Europe, I had just been to Portugal, and I saw what was happening in January, February in Spain and Italy, and increasingly in Portugal. And so that was already in my head. And then I came back and we had the shutdown, and within those first 4 days, I got calls and emails from clients canceling projects. And, you know, I'm a single mom, putting my kids through university and supporting myself. So I was a little panicked and anxious. And I always think, well, okay, so when you're in that headspace, it's really important to create your own bubble of positive thought. Even if no one else shares it with you, you are the master of your own happiness. I've sewn my whole life, so I got out my fabrics and I did some research into the best lining material and the best sources of everything. And I thought, I'm going to make masks. And then people started asking if I was selling them. My goal has always been to donate. But, you know, I can't afford to do that if I have no income. So I started selling them, and that turned into a big thing in my life. And suddenly I was doing the exact thing that I had always wished I was going to do. Out of all the things that I've achieved in my life, I always wanted to have my own brand. And so I created one. About 2 weeks in, I was just working 16 hours a day, sewing, fulfilling, doing, running crazy, and trying to get access to things because everything was shut down. So try to find fabric when there's no stores open. So I got a call from a girlfriend of mine who wanted to order a mask, and she said, do you need any help? And I was like, yes, girlfriend, sauce me some help. And she goes, okay, I'll design you a logo. And I was like, I was thinking sewing help, but a logo's good, let's start with that. So we started with a logo, we started with a tagline, mask your face, not your style, because I've always been involved in fashion. So I really wanted this to be something that was going to go beyond the semiotics of covering your face with a surgical mask or something like that, and moving into some way of expressing yourself. Our body language is so important, and how we express ourselves, our eyes and our smile and how we hold ourselves. And if we're going to take one of those three things away, what are you going to replace it with? So I immediately thought, well, we can do this. We can make this about fashion, but still make it safe and accessible to everybody. And so that's what I did.
So actually, you talked about the tagline of AboutFace, but how did you come up with the name?
So society was asked to do an About Face in March. Just pivot and go in a different direction. We had to stop all of our normal daily activities, all our consumption, our shopping for no reason, to make ourselves feel better, our going out and dining because we hate cooking or we hate being at home with our husband, or whatever the case may be, whatever thing was driving the economy, we were asked to stop doing it and do an About Face, and then start to think about other people and not just ourselves. So that's where the name AboutFace Masks came. And then the tagline, mask your face, not your style, is going back to that whole idea that even though we are required to wear masks. It doesn't have to be onerous. And it's the same as doing anything that this society requires of you to keep the other person safe, to think outside of yourself. That's a big part of it, right? Like this is not hard, right? This is not offensive. You're being asked to put a face covering on. It's in the same way that you have a turn signal on your car to indicate to everyone around you that you are going to make a left-hand turn across traffic, to keep them and yourself safe. That's all it is. When I started this, I started sewing. I started doing it, just sewing myself and just working around the clock to get this done. And then I became aware that there were other ways of doing business, that you could scale it. I decided that everything was going to be as local as possible. So I called up a friend who has a lot of seamstresses on staff. They were all out of work. They're all migrants, and they were doing it tough. So I hired them all to start sewing, and so they're all visible minorities. So that was like actually helping at one point 7 families pay their mortgage, and I hooked them up with Operation Remisier to get groceries as well in many cases. So from a local perspective, I am buying all of my products, all of my fabrics and everything from local stores. I'm hiring local people, and then I'm giving back to local organizations. So Briere Village, the Briere Clinic, which has got immigrant families and children going through for healthcare. More recently, I just donated masks to Ability First, for all sorts of people with ability differences, and to CHIO, and to individuals as well. So I see somebody in the street who needs a mask, I will roll down my window and say, I have them all packaged up, and I just hand them a mask. And in that way, just one small way, that maybe I can make somebody else feel a little bit more confident about the time we're living in. I sort of hopped on the internet and I researched different mask styles, and then I made prototypes, and I spent 2 days just cutting and sewing and taking things apart and thinking it all through. Again, thanks to grade 10 home ec, it really ignited a passion in me to design, and I've always designed my own clothes. And so I learned how to take clothes apart and then make patterns, like really rudimentary pattern making. I came up with 3 basic things. One is the foundation mask, which is like your jeans and t-shirt. And then you can zhuzh that up. So the foundation masks are all solid colors in Kona cotton, which is the best quality cotton you can get on the planet. And then there's the go-to mask, which is, your favorite shirt, your favorite pair of earrings, the thing that you always go to, it makes you feel fresh and alive. And then the statement mask, which is, the super glittery, fun, bold graphics, bold patterns, things that are like really sets you apart. And then within that, like I said, I've got children's masks, which are super fun, a whole range of them. And it's been really fun picking out the fabrics, I just put together a fall capsule collection, which, is so weird. And I just did a fashion shoot with Lux magazine, all about masks. So I think it was the first in Ottawa, and that's going to be coming out in the fall as well. Yes, I am optimistic for Ottawa, and for a bunch of reasons. We've had really decent leadership with Dr. Vera. She has really been a straight shooter, hasn't mixed messages. We are also a smaller city, so we understand that we're kind of like a big country town in some regards. We tend to take care of each other a little bit more, and because we're a smaller city, there's a really core of people who maybe would have been going to galas who are now fundraising for other reasons and doing things for other reasons, right? And trying to keep the giving going in Ottawa. So I am very optimistic that we will continue to be compliant, and not just compliant, but thinking about the person next to us and what we can do to make their lives better. Like in a great relationship, you put the other person first and they put you first, and so you both win. And I think Ottawa has got a better sense of that than some bigger cities.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of Operation Support Local. We're going to be sharing many of these stories over the coming weeks, so we'd encourage you to tune in each Friday at 7:30 p.m. and Sundays at 6 p.m. Stay safe out there, Ottawa.